Bill Holder is affiliated, and I don't know his official title, but affiliated with the Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame at Florence. Bill, are you with us?
I am with you, sir.
I am trying my hardest not to call you Mr. Holder, so bear with me.
Very nice.
All right. So, Bill, tell us what is your affiliation with the Hall of Fame?
I am the director, the originator, the answer of all complaints, and doing it as a volunteer. This all started in 2001 when C.J. Rayburn had retired, and he says, well, you do a lot of writing. I write for Dirt Late Model and Late Model Illustrated and Circle Track, a bunch of them. He says, you know all about this stuff. Why don't you form this Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame, and we'll all help? Well, what do you think happened? Nobody helped. And we have done all this with about 3 or 4 guys, and we're very proud of it. And we have a great people at Florence Speedway who take care of things for us and let us do what we want to do. And we have now a very, very nice facility, and we have an induction ceremony every year, which is coming up this Saturday and prior to the North-South 100. And for those that don't know, those people getting inducted this year are Mike Balzano, Ray Gus Jr., Doug Ingalls from Texas, Kenny Brightbill, Don Hobbs, Ray Vest, who was a longtime crew chief, supporter of Rick Eckert, and then the people at Keith and Tater at Masters Built, and Jimmy Owens, who gets a Special Sportsman Award. Pretty good class.
That is, it certainly is. Now, like any Hall of Fame, there has to be a panel, I'm assuming, and criteria. Are you able to divulge either?
Right, sure. First of all, if you want to nominate somebody, go to our website, which is nationaldirtlatemodel.com, and myself and my historian, his names are in there, and you can send your nominations to us. We will evaluate them, and we'll go from there. And we, of course, have a lot of people that, with the size of the dirt late model industry these days, there's thousands of drivers out there, and of course everybody thinks their boy should be the one. Well, we can't do that.
Yeah.
We induct 5 a year. We do 5 drivers, and then 2 people that are contributors to the sport, such as engine builders, car builders, announcers, just about every category you can think of.
So that's where me and Will be under.
Go ahead, Brian.
I was just saying, me and you will fall under the announcer segment.
Well, let's just get through this year. Brian.
Some people are down.
We have two excellent announcers on our board. Brett Emmerich with the World of Outlaws, and James Essex with the Lucas series. So you can't get any better than that.
That's true. Now, can you give us an insight as to what? Okay, let's start with drivers first. What is the criteria? What is something when you go to look at a guy? What are the one or five things you want to see?
Well, first of all, we have an unwritten rule of 30 years in the sport. We said retired had to be retired. These guys never retire, and so we just said 30 years. And we look at their, who did they run with? Where did they run? And their wins. How many track championships did they have? Series championships. What was the level of competition they ran with? We talked to other people. Well, what'd you think of this guy? And then we put them on the ballot if we think they qualify. And then we have a 60-man voting board, which includes complete across the board people. Press, car owners, track owners, engine builders, just anything. And then there's a lot of guys that have already been inducted, and they all vote, and then we announce that class at the World 100 before the World 100 race for the next year. You see what I'm saying? So we'll be announcing the 2013 class at the World 100 in next month, and then at the North-South 100, which is this coming week. Coming Saturday, we will induct this class that I just read to you. So It's a year-round deal.
Would you say Bill, for a driver to get in there on sheer personality?
No. It's a very tough deal. We'll get these calls occasionally. Say, well, now there's this little old driver down here at this track I know. Now he's never won a race, but he deserves. He is such a nice guy. He deserves to be in there. He should have been in that first class. Now, what do you say?
Oh. Yeah,
and it's tough, and people will call up and bitch at me. Why is he in there? And I say, I might be the director, but I don't have any more control. I have one vote out of 60, and whatever it comes out to be, that's what it is.
Okay, well, let me ask you. That leads me.
Webb, Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame.
Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame. That's right.
Well, that leads me to the next question, Bill. What has been the most lopsided landslide guy to get in, and what has been, if you could recollect, what would be the closest to not getting in? And don't give me.
Well, I'm not going to give you names, but let's just say that there have been many times when there was one vote separating three, and then we have some criteria there we use, If one driver is alive and the other is deceased, we go with the one because we can present it to him while he's still alive. That's the criteria there. Sometimes there's been blowaways. I just can't tell you which ones they were because it might hurt somebody's feelings. If you know what I mean.
That's right. Of course.
But it's very interesting, and sometimes we'll say, well, some of us will bet, well, this is what it's going to be, and we might not get one right. Right now there are 17 or 18 drivers, and we'll take 5. And here's the way we do that now. So that list is then down to 13. Then we have a construction ballot earlier in the year where all the people that were nominated by fans and anybody else, we vote on them, and we take 5. They go to the major ballot. So you see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so
sir.
we continually replenish that. And we're trying to be a little more national now. We are the National Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame. So a lot of times we are picking good drivers from about 5 or 6 regions of the country because, you can see you might have a good driver in California, or Arizona, and nobody's ever heard of him back here with the majority of the voters. So now we've sort of nationalized a little bit, and it's getting some people that might not be too familiar to some of the people back here in the hot grounds, but still we feel that is a fair way to do it.
It is. Now, you guys have something special going on at the World 100 on Saturday at 2:30. Tell us about the event scheduled at the World 100.
At 2:30, we're going to have the auction to end all auctions, and we are constantly prodding drivers to give us sheet metal. And they are very good about it, especially World of Outlaw and Lucas guys, and a guy like Jimmy Owens, and we have to prod him a little bit, but Scott Bloomquist always gives us stuff, and
he gave me a hard time. He gave me a hard time over the weekend.
Did he really? You probably deserved it.
You've been talking to my wife.
We like guys that are up and comers, and a couple of my favorites are Bobby Pierce and Tyler Reddick, and those guys, they help us out and hold up their own sheet metal at auctions, and that's very cool. And that's the next generation that we have to think about, and. So we're having that. It's at 2:30, and it'll be in one of those big buildings behind the behind the fourth turn there. And to all you fans, we've got some great stuff. You won't get it anywhere else, and bring money. But we will accept checks too. And then at 5:30 at the World 100, we will announce the next class, 2013. And
so, Bill, what if I bring you a side of my car that has the In the Dirt logo on it? So, will you think we could get anything out of that at auction?
Well, you bring it, and we'll let you hold it up, and we'll see what happens.
Hey, that'd be all right there. Now, before we let you go, you also talked about you might have found the car.
Well, it's kind of interesting. We've always wanted a Jack Boggs car, and we didn't think we had a chance. And about a year ago, this guy walks in, a guy named David Poole, who is now on our board, and he says, well, anybody interested in this side here? And I looked at it, and it was a side of a 4B Jack Boggs car. Yeah, we would be. And then so we started looking around, and we found the frame at a guy who keeps a lot of old junk parts, and we found it. Master Bill told us it was there. Then Jack's old mechanic came down and said, I got a bunch of parts to fit that car, like rear ends, axles, upper and lower A-arms, and a bunch of stuff. And it just people just kept giving us stuff. And I'm going to really thank Jackie Boggs, his son, for putting the final touches on it, because he worked on the car when Jack had it, And he said, well, I'll show you things I did here, I know this is the car that probably won the dirt track that year, in 1995. So
wow.
We got the car back. We got the car in yesterday. It is dynamite. It's sitting right next to the Jeff Purvis 86 World 100 car. We've got about 6 or 7 cars, and we've got a couple wedge cars. We've got Charlie Swartz's 82 car that won the 82 dirt track, and that's down at Charlie Swartz Race Cars. He's going to put a body on it for us, so that'll be very cool.
Well, Bill, we're up against the bottom of the hour, which is our ending bottom of the hour. So before we let you get out of here, give us the website for fans to check it out online. I know there's a virtual tour there.
A virtual tour, which is very cool. And it is National Dirt Late Model, HOF.com.
National Dirt Late Model, HOF.com.
Correct.
Okay, they can check that out there, and and you guys take donations, or is it an admission price?
Oh yes, and we are a 501c3, and so you give us a nice $1 million donation, and you can write that off.
I'll be bringing mine.
One other thing, if I can tell you this, I can't tell you who it is, but we have a great chance of getting a major sponsor for the hall, which would really be something, because these days it is hard as heck to do it, and a lot of us are taking some money out of our pockets to keep it going.
Well, from the virtual tour, you guys could almost stand to expand. You have so much stuff in there, it looks like.
Well, now we have expanded. We've got a new floor, outside there on the north side. It's 40 by 40. That's 1,600 square feet more, and we're going to get a pole barn over that. But right now, we've almost filled it up already. Well, you just don't turn down a vintage car. You just don't.
That's right. Well, Bill, I certainly appreciate you coming on and telling us a little bit more. I've been educated this evening about the Hall of Fame, and hopefully my listeners have. I tell you what, after the World, I'll have you back on, and we'll talk about the next year's class. How about that? That
would be great. Anytime, guys.
And hopefully a new sponsor of the Hall.
Yes. We'll certainly let you know that. Certainly know. We've come close a couple times to getting big sponsors, and they've always backed out at the last minute. One sponsor who will remain anonymous was they had us all the way to the last day, and we were ready to go sign the paperwork, and they called back and said, we're not going to do it. Yet they had $20 million a year to sponsor a cup car. Now, you figure that. We wanted $10,000. We wanted $10,000 for a couple of years.
Well, if that deal goes down, I'd like for you to come back on and maybe get a representative of that company to come on with you.
Okay. All righty.
Well, thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much, guys. Keep up the good work.